So, greetings from Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and we are going to talk about the reform of the local governance, and the implementation of this reform will give a lot to communities. And this is the reform which has been taking place for 4 years already, and it involves different representatives of power, including the parliament as well as the president. And amalgamation of territorial communities is the process which is taking place in the society. In 2020, the next local elections will take place based on the new basis. Not all the communities will get amalgamated till then, but it means that those who did not amalgamate has to hurry a little bit because someone else will be taking decisions instead of them. So speakers of the community are trying to reveal the essence of the reform of self-governance to those who are still doubting whether it is worth to move along the way of changes. So is it really necessary to do that? And what to do with rayons or regions of Ukraine with territories which are covered by amalgamated communities? And let's talk about real changes which were brought by the amalgamation. We are talking with Yuri Guldas, representative of an amalgamated territorial community. Hello, this is a great pleasure to be here. I was really in a hurry to come here. The topic is really interesting because this topic has been my life for 3 years already. And the first thing I would like to mention would be that our amalgamated community was one of the first in oblasts, which was created, and one of the first 159 which was created in 2015. That's true. And starting from the 1st of January, we launched new relations, budgetary relations with the government. I would like to quote you. You've mentioned, if someone believes that with the creation of an amalgamated communities, the factories start working and other beautiful things would be happening. No, that's not true. The secret is in hard work. So when was it easier to work, now or before? Well, right you are. I don't know where you found that quote of mine, but usually I say these things, that decentralization is not this magical stick which will change everything overnight. But I'm also always mentioning that decentralization is not about financing. It's about changing the management system on the ground. And, you know, head of the amalgamated communities, and the community itself is responsible for all the processes taking place. And you know, whenever someone is appointed by the president, or better to say, whenever the community elects someone, appoints someone, that's the precondition of positive changes, because they elect the person who meets the community on a daily basis. Do you understand this right? The reform taught us how to manage the territory appropriately. Well, that's really so, but I've been at the city council starting from 2010, and we started reforming our city long ago, and you know, the whole team, the vision changed. We have changed the approach to the activities, to the work. We have got a really strong team, and we have started this reform, this decentralization, with this strong team, and I'm grateful to my team that it believed in me, it believed in the reform, and we have achieved, well, success, maybe not that huge success, but still some small progress, and every member of our community sees that the way they've selected is really good, and we can be boasting of the successes, you know, telling our secrets to other even guests of our country. Mr. Yuri, for those who would like to understand what kind of changes this reform brings, can you enumerate what changes you've achieved during 3 years in Maloviskivska community? Well, that's too difficult. That's a difficult task, because a lot was changed even before 2015 in, so to say, in progress. We have started with changing our city and changing the mindset of our members of the community. We were mentioning them that authorities and the community is one body, and whenever we work together, we have the result. And now, when we have the decentralization in progress, we meet people and we feel that their heart aches for their community. They're not saying, well, what the government did for us, but no, they are saying, what are our plans for future and what have we already achieved? So if we look back at these 3 years, just a blind person would not see the positive changes. And people who live in our society, they really see that schools changes, that kindergartens, that musical schools have changed. So we achieved changes everywhere in the community for people to at least locally see that decentralization is the structure which is not destroying, but which is uniting and which has got the future. Pervomaisk village is located 18 kilometers from our community, and people didn't really believe that anything could have changed there. But the school was created there. That school was closed long ago, and that very premises was used for other purposes. But now we have created public activities center. We refurbished this building, and we've got all the facilities there, even with good restrooms, some recreational area. And I was telling you that I was passing that village, and 3-4 people came up to listen to something at that very building. But time passed, and now a lot of people go there. And I understood that there were a lot of modern, up-to-date people interested in a lot of things, a lot of young people. So, a lot of money was invested, and it was a huge change for the community. So in every village we did something like this, something good, and this is just the beginning of these changes. And we are once again changing the mindset of people. You were saying that resources are not that important, speaking about financing, right? But I know that just in 2016, the proceeds of the community was 33 million hryvnias, and this year this is 46 million hryvnias, right? But I know you would say that you lack money, right? But for what do they suffice, at least? Okay, in the first place, right, you are a budget. If to compare to the previous year and the launching years, it has increased twofold or even 3 times. And I was starting with that, right? I told you that finances is not everything. But still, we have got money, which ensures the viability of our community, maybe not to the fullest extent. And a lot of responsibility comes with money, because today our community is responsible for sustaining 3 schools, gymnasium, then musical school, some preschool facilities. And, this figure sounds huge, 46 million, but once again, a lot of different expenditures. But what is the main thing? And I've mentioned that before as well. Today we're investing in our future. Today we are reforming completely the schools. We are making them up to date, and we are creating new Ukrainian educational platforms or spaces. And these classes, premises, corridors must not be gray. They must be funny, must be nice, vivid. And whenever you enter the school, you feel it's good here. Children are satisfied when going to schools. And our youth, our young people, younger generation, they also feel it, because we are, investing in heating insulation of all these buildings, kindergartens and schools. And I'm proud of that, actually. This is like the main indicator that the changes are there. So in some cases, we've managed to, change something for better in our schools. And even, I don't know, even Polish people would envy us, I believe. And I, as a city mayor, have got this opportunity to manage the resources appropriately and develop the infrastructure. So we are not investing into roads. By the way, 125 kilometers of roads in your community, right? Yes, that's true. And we were joking that that's like a touristic zest. Well, have a look, you know everything. Yes, so roads, that's like green tourism. Some time ago, we had Avia Fest, and we had a guest from Norway, attaché, and we were bringing him, passing some fields to the recreational areas, and you know, he just came out of the car and said, "Wow, it's good, it's very interesting." So yeah, this is like this is thing of attraction right now. But you know, investing millions in roads without creating conditions for proper residence, for education of our kids, without investing in the future, it would do no good. We shall not invest in the roads in the first place. No, we have to create decent conditions for proper education in schools, musical schools. And, you know, we have to cherish our kids. They have to grow up real Europeans, and they have to grow up and see and understand that we are going to a brighter future. Because when we carried out the elections, we were working with these really obsolete schools. You know, it was really terrible to be there. Yes, I cannot disagree with you. For 20-something years, nothing was done, and we have to invest in it all. All of a sudden, right now, we have to create proper conditions for persons with disabilities. And by the way, I know you did a lot for persons with disabilities. Well, right you are. I visited Kramatorsk to study that issue. You know, I was invited to have a lecture there, but I don't know actually what I'm going to reveal in that lecture, but I'm going to tell what was done. So, in the first place, we decided not to have any obstacles for persons with disabilities at any facility, at any shop, etc. So, right now, my guys are creating this video, and it tells that we started with ourselves. And I was saying, for example, there were some spots that are difficult to reach for healthy people. Even if they reach that spot, they may become persons with disabilities. So we created all these pavements, roads, and all these escalators. And we have created an inclusive class today, and the person in a wheelchair can easily access that classroom. There are no stairs, etc. And we are really paying attention to this. Because really, in our community, we have people with disabilities, and they were invisible. We didn't actually see them in our cities. But, you know, we were launching this playground, DOBRE project in our city, and they all visited this event. They've got these motorcycles and special wheelchairs. And I was telling them, you know, maybe I don't see problems somewhere, so prompt me, tell me with what I can do. And they are now really visible. We had to, I don't know, get rid of some pavements and some spots, to get rid of some obstacles. That was not that problem for people to feel comfortable. That's a very good initiative, you know. And if we come back to the topic of financing, what is interesting, you know, this is not that I'm interested, but maybe those who would like to look at you as an example and maybe get amalgamated with you. So no one understands what gives more money to the budget after amalgamation, right? That's not just subvention for the development of infrastructure. You know, please tell us in what way your budget is being filled in. Well, Previously, these excise duties were not going to the budget of the community, etc., etc. But not the taxes are the main thing. Well, they are important because taxes really come to the budget of our community. We have created, by the way, a new position, and it is called labor inspector. And they're visiting different, I don't know, even taxi enterprises, cab enterprises, and factories, plants, and they are carrying out explanatory activities. And also, I know you've got some permanent working group on legalization of professional activities. Well, yes, we've got this committee, and our inspector, meaning labor inspector, is working with this committee. Also, members of local parliament, and also we are involving the district officers. And we had this big extended meeting, and all the authorities, all representatives of the authorities from all over the oblast participated. And we haven't punished anyone so far, but more and more private entrepreneurs get registered. We have this diplomatic negotiations with them. So we may draw a conclusion that taxes are now going to the communities. So now the communities are interested to monitor the labor market. I was always mentioning that every businessman working within our territory, they are using the infrastructure of our city. They are using the roads, the parking spots. They are walking with their families on pavements. And I don't know, maybe that's 50 hryvnias, 60 hryvnias, but still they have to pay those taxes. And this is not our aim to deprive the person of their money completely. No, we all want to live a decent life. And this is possible only when we all pay our taxes. But yes, that's the constitutional obligation of each and everyone. For example, some car repair shops, they have to pay the tax for land, they have to pay taxes for every employee. But sometimes people work in this shadow economy, they work in some garages, and they don't take that much money for services. But that's a vicious circle, If you are not open, transparent, then you are not paid that much, and you do not contribute to the life of your community. And taxi drivers who were driving taxis all over the city, and they were saying, this is not just I'm paying the taxes, and that very guy in that car is not paying taxes and is taking smaller fees. So now we have arrived at this conclusion. Whenever you've got some proceeds from some activities, you have to pay taxes. What about excise duties? This scheme of collecting the excise duties on the ground. Well, if we compare, by the way, all the schemes which we had previously and which we have now, do the community see how much excise duties was collected and who pays that? That's a separate topic, and I'm a member of the Association of the Cities of Ukraine, and there we are really considering that subject. In 2016, we had this procedure. Whoever has a gas station within the territory, yes, they had to pay 5% of their income to the budget. And as Prime Minister said, okay, all the taxes will be distributed in an equal manner. But for example, for 3 years, we received no excise duties, and we had some plans for those money which would come to the budget. So some, mismatch. We had some mismatch in the budget, unfortunately. So we failed to procure some materials because of that. That was a problem. So I would really like our legislators who are passing the laws, they don't have to do that in the middle of the budgetary year. And that is usually the case. The rules of the game are being changed in the middle of the budgetary year, and it influences the activities of local governments, etc., because we have got some plans, We have passed our budgets for the year, and now all of a sudden this changes. That's difficult. Maybe it's worth coming back to the scheme of 2016 regarding the excise duty? No. There must be an equal splitting of it between the different budgets. For example, there is some, I don't know, processing factory in a small city, and it has got 1 million income a year. And in the next city, there is no such factory, but they've got just small gas plant. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. The current scheme is more fair, and we can plan beforehand. Mr. Yuri, maybe you've seen the draft budget for 2019. So the infrastructure subvention may be interesting for the community, right? And the next year, they plan allocating 1.9 billion hryvnias for this subvention. But you know, the number of communities increased. What are your ideas regarding that? You know, when we received the subvention from the state budget to create the infrastructure the first year, this money was not used for the city, but for those settlements, villages which joined us. And we received 4.8 million, well, almost 5 million, and we created some water pipe there, some heating insulation there. So we used the money for the purpose, for real purpose. But then someone decided to change that scheme. They decreased the amount of money for the infrastructure, but they gave us extra for the economic development of the region. So I have to go to the deputy now to bow him or her and support their political party for them to give us that money for development of our territory. I believe that's not right, because you know, our people's deputies, I'm not going to name them, because even people in Kyiv know them. You know, we resorted to them. We came to them a lot of times, but they didn't give us the money necessary for economic development. This is like, you know, a vicious circle. They are giving us money with one hand, but they are depriving us of that money with the other hand. So it would be better to receive this money directly for the communities to use them. That's very good. That's very good. I believe someone important will hear you now. I know that in January 2018, your community joined the initiative of the European Union, Mayors for Economic Growth. What will this initiative give to your community? What do you expect to get from it? Okay. To be frank, you know, this is not just we joined them, they are allocating some money for us. No. In the majority of cases today, we have to change the opinion, the vision of the development of the community. And this very project, it trains, it shows very good examples how to save money and how to once again earn money. Where shall we go? What is our destination? What kind of results we're trying to achieve? Because, you know, this DOBRE project was working well for 2 years, but everyone has got this question. Where's the money? Where's the money given by DOBRE? Well, money, financing, that's good. But, well, yes, we've joined DOBRE project since 2 years, but money is not the main thing. The main thing would be to understand how to earn money. Well, how to use this money appropriately for them to yield good results. That's the main thing for me. And I know that Maloviskivska community is now preserving the energy and insulating buildings, right? Well, our city is not that gasified. Within the territory of our city community, there are no problems with increased tariffs for gas, but we've got problems with heating, because we know that in Donbass we've got war, and the main fuel and other resources were brought from there. So now we have 100% changed our approaches to heating, and also in all the schools we have changed the doors, the windows to those which are energy saving. And now we are dealing with heating insulation of Cheburashka kindergarten. We plan to cover other kindergartens and nursery schools. But we also came back to electrical heating. So the first thing I did was to install electrical heating in our city council building. So we paid 9,000 hryvnias a month. And if we are talking about gas or coal, then count the salary of this man who are using this coal to heat the building, then their salary would be just 15,000 hryvnias. So we are really saving on that, and we are wrapping up with implementation of the project on electrical heating of Romashka and Cheburashka nursery schools, and we are moving in that direction in general. And electrical heating is more rational in the context of price policies of today. And this is the future, I believe. Well, the main thing would be that you know how to find solutions to the problems and way outs of some challenges. I would like to talk about youth and human resources. That's an important factor. I know that villages are parts of your amalgamated communities. Some villages have got 14 residents, right? And we have got this urbanization in Ukraine, and someone says that decentralization is to blame, but history shows that even before the decentralization, the villages started to die off. In Kirovohrad Oblast, I know they've lost a lot of residents from rural areas. The same you've got within your territory. But in what way the reform is capable of bringing young people back to villages, and whether this reform is capable of offering something to these people for them not to abandon their settlements, villages, small towns, looking for better job. Let's be frank. The same happened in the United States, for example. That's a normal, civilized process taking place. And today, everyone, including young people, are trying to reach civilized world, right? For example, I come to Kiev and nice pavements, etc. What about village? Just mud. Why don't you have these pavements in the village? Well, a very nice question. But we are doing it all, gradually. You were saying a dying village, but no, this is not decentralization to blame. Decentralization, vice versa, tries to preserve young people and life in villages. But sometimes we see other processes. Young people come back to villages because agriculture, for example, is the small plant which is working for you. And young people come back to villages whenever they're interested in agriculture, especially when they worked abroad, for example, in Poland. Poland is a good example in terms of agriculture. And if we compare the land or the soil in Poland and in Ukraine, we've got much, much better soil. And people are coming back. They get the understanding and come back. They will create their small businesses in the village. Or maybe they've got business in the village and live in the city. That's not a problem. You cannot, have some extracurriculum activities center in the village if there are 20 residents. No, in the center of the community, we have to create modern, up-to-date conditions for children to get their preschool education, extracurricular education, and even school education, for them to go back at 5 p.m. in the evening after they learned something, they had very good rest, after they visited some extracurricular activities, some dancing classes. That's normal. That's perfect. And, we had, and we still have, and plan to have this exchange students programs and teachers exchange program. So we are taking children from some village where there are 5 kids, and we bring them to the community center, which gives high quality education and which offers a lot of extracurricular activities where they may visit some sports centers. And this is even better monetary wise to go from your village and to visit the cities than to create them in the villages. For example, in Pervomaisk, the school got closed long ago, even before the reform, right? And if it were not for decentralization, the school would be quite obsolete and broken down. But now, if the village has got residents, these residents must be offered the best services. And if to compare, what they had 10 years ago and now, this is huge progress. And I mentioned this students exchange programs. We take kids from the village school and bring them to the city, and vice versa. City kids go to the village. But what's the aim of this project? Well, the main aim would be to show the students that today in a modern school, and by using modern approaches, the specialized biological classes and nice gym, comfortable conditions, it's better to get your education. Education would be better. And this is not that much. That's just 12 kilometers. We are showing the child that this child can overcome 12 kilometers a day, but get their education at this very school, because we cannot create a chemistry class for 4 kids in the village. That's too expensive, and that's not that essential. That is why we bring kids to popularize this idea that it's better to travel and get an up-to-date education in this city school, city center. And this is like new students, a new educational space, which educates kids. You've got children parliament. Am I right? In what way does it help the community? Well, right, you are. Our young people are quite special, very prospective young people. I'm really proud of our young people. They are very modern, with modern ideas. They want it all, they can it all, and they are really implementing it all and finding their spot under the sun. So, we really have this project, and it was really active the previous year. Our kids won here in Kiev, and they went abroad. They won what? What kind of competition? Oh, that was a competition, Open Up Ukraine, and we had Sheikh team. And I, as a mayor, have got this life experience behind me, but these kids do not have that life experience, but they have got a very good understanding, as if they lived a long life already, and they are the future of our city and of our country. I'm sure of it. And I would like to tell you that we really have this children parliament. I meet those children, and we've got some joint meetings with them. Then we've got other types of councils by the mayor's office, because, today you may be expert in IT technologies and computers to be great in something, but without life experience, it would be difficult for you to achieve something. So we've got this council of elders, of oldest people of the community, so to say. So sometimes they take the word and they're explaining young people about some more humane approaches, because, because of all these computers, IT technologies, dollars, we tend to forget something and some wisdom of our parents and grandparents. And this generation, older generation, they've got nice lessons to teach us. So when to expect other projects you mentioned, like students exchange program, teachers exchange program? Well, we are really relaunching the teacher exchange program and students exchange program. Why teacher, for example? When there are 24 up to 30 students in the class, this teacher would get the same salary as the teacher who works with 4 children. And sometimes when you've got 4 kids, you don't achieve that result which you achieve teaching 30 kids. But the salaries, I reiterate, are the same. That's interesting. So we want to show this difference, to change their places. The same with the principal of the school, by the way. We send the principal of the city school to village. What are the dreams of the principal of a school? To have an up-to-date modern school. But maybe they go to the village school, and this village school has got something really special. Yeah, that's like experience exchange, right? To borrow the best practices. So now I offer to proceed to the political part of the reform. Okay, so quite actively today we are discussing the formation of new rayons in the format which would allow managing these territories in a high quality manner. And I know there is a draft law pertaining to retailoring rayons of Poltava Oblast. You represent Kirovograd Oblast. I know there is no such draft law regarding your oblast. But if we have a look at Maloviskivska Hromada, just 17,000 people live beyond the amalgamated territorial communities. So I'm interested. When majority of the authorities are given to the communities, whether you find it beneficial and whether you want to still change something and in what way. Well, have a look. Somehow we've got this opinion. Territorial community is a separate state and rayon is a separate state. No, that's not true. We are a Maloviskivska amalgamated territorial community of Maloviskivsky rayon of Kirovograd Oblast. But they believe, no, we are some, I don't know, demonstrators or what. No, our mayors are just this fat guy sitting in nice chairs. No, that's a wrong approach. So we don't have 3 communities, but 2. Well, the third will have elections on the 23rd of January. Well, that's a very small community, sorry. So I'm saying that we've got just 2 now. We've got this village which has got 10,000 people, and our city almost 15,000 city. 15,000 people, so that's more than half of rayon. And they say rayon administration, rayon council. Let me tell you the truth. Today, rayon council does not have real power. We have to just disperse it, not to have it at all. What are the responsibilities of rayon council? Have a look at people working there. It takes them 3 months to prepare for the session, for some hearings, right? Rayon administration is preparing all these documents, and Rayon Council will be approving some resolutions, decisions. Now, people's deputies who are going to make decisions, their hearts do not ache at all because they don't live even in the community. They live at some adjacent villages. That's an obsolete body of power. We shall not have rayon councils, I believe, at all. And speaking about this territorial reform coming tomorrow, we shall not have it tomorrow, we shall have it today, because those who wanted to amalgamate, they got amalgamated already, and there is a law on joining the amalgamated community. Well, let's really accept them, welcome them, and let's not create this unhealthy competition. In every rayon, and I'm sure 99%, that's, this very fairy tale about a crawfish, a swan, and a pike who were all taking courage into their own direction. We have to get united and work for the sake of the community. If community does something wrong, then Rayon newspaper is highlighting that, blaming us that we are doing something wrong. But no, the community today is the most successful in this regard, and this reform is really successful. Well, speaking about this reform, Maloviskivska is a Rayon significance center, and in 17 kilometers there is Novy Mirgorod, a Rayon center as well, and between us there is not a single settlement. We have to do something, right? Because we've got two Rayons, and both Rayons have got their administrations, their councils, all these redundant things, Something has to be changed, and the territorial administration, management must be changed even before the presidential elections in Ukraine, because the reform is really successful and it yields very good result. Let's not spoil that, and we don't know who will win during these elections, the chocolate guy or the lady with the braid on her head or some Moscow supporters. We've got Groisman, we've got the state-oriented politics and policies. We've got positive results as of today. We have to keep on rolling like that. And we see that we are on a right path, so we have to finalize this reform. This is not like a trial period, No, we've been working for 4 years, and we're using the best practices of Europe, of Poland, which implemented this reform. But somehow some heads of the village councils, Rayon councils, they don't need any reforms. Like 1 year past, hooray, that's it. They're thinking just about their bellies and about themselves, their hotspot. But there is a community to take care about, and there is a territory which must be taken care of, and money must be used efficiently to develop the infrastructure, because what would be their answer tomorrow? Yeah, they gave us 5 million for 3 villages. That's unheard of, and we never had this before. So this is a huge window of opportunities. So we have to change the situation, because whenever the reform is not carried out within the territory, that's waste of time. What is your message to such heads of councils? Guys, let's get united, not to spoil the peak of the reform. We must have healthy competition between Starobronetska, Novoviska communities and other communities. And whenever I see my colleagues, my friends, they are doing their best to develop the community. Everyone must do that, not sit on their hands and wait for tomorrow. We have to change the state today. And if we are together, if we are not together, not a single person from the above, not a single top brass will help us. So today we have to do our best in order to change lives of our parents, of our relatives, of people close and dear to us, for them to feel that we will live in a civilized country. And I believe that in our city, people see changes. They have really opened their eyes and they have changed their attitude, and they don't see life in black and white anymore. Okay, so you're saying that reform is giving new chances for the community, and you are really interested to welcome new communities. So, Mr. Yuri, I'm really grateful for this interesting talk with you. And if you do not manage to change it all and, to have this mayor exchange program before the presidential elections, you'll do that after that. But I strongly hope that you will be mayor for a long, long period of time. Thank you for this communication. We talked to Yuri Guldas, head of the Maloviskivska Amalgamated Territorial Community, and see you in future. Thank you. All the best.